There we go. This seems to work. So welcome guys to the the second Q&A session actually of the AviationPro channel. It's the first time I'm using Google Hangouts in order to broadcast this event. Previous time I used Wirecast, but I think this works a little bit easier. The only drawback is that you have this Google logo on the side, but I think that's the only thing actually. Let's see how it goes. There's a 30-second delay, by the way, so yeah, that's I mean, last time there was no delay, I believe, or at least a little bit, but yeah, it was the recording afterwards was not completely correct, so I try it again. And now I'm using a 30-second delay. See if that goes better. I have no idea. All right, it all seems to work though. So please tell me if the live stream is working correctly and if the the audio and things like that are all right for you. As I'm now broadcasting from my laptop, I'm not at home, so it's a little bit different. So we'll see how it goes. So there's already a question coming up there. So I think you can post your comments on the Google Hangout as well, or if you want to, you can just post them on YouTube. I will see those as well. All right. All right. So we already have a question from Hawks360 Magic, and he asks, if you could fly an aircraft in real life, except the 737, what would it be? Well, yeah, that's a good question. Except the 737. If it was without the except the 737, I would definitely choose the 737 because, it's my favorite airplane, and I fly it a lot in Flight Simulator. I fly it most of the time, actually. And sometimes I fly the 737 or apart from the 737, the Boeing 767 and the Embraer. But I think 80% of the time it's a 737. So yeah, in real life, apart from the 737, I think it would be the 767. I mean, that's the first aircraft I flew with Flight Simulator. It was the first aircraft, the level D Boeing 767, where I really learned how to, fly those airplanes professionally. And by that time, you didn't have the iFly 737 yet. You didn't have the BMDG 737 yet. So the level D Boeing 767 was really one of the best products out there. It still is. Visually, it's not really looking that good compared to today's products, but the 767 of level D was the best at that time. So if I would have an opportunity to fly that one in real life, that would be my favorite. But other aircraft, I mean, I would love to fly a Spitfire for some time. I have no idea if that's ever gonna work or not, but I mean, just such a classic warbird, and yeah, it's amazing. I've seen the Spitfire a couple of times now in real life, so you really get that feeling of speed, and it feels good. It must be great to fly those airplanes, I think. So, all right. So yeah, Hawk360 Magic. Okay, thanks for letting know. It's working good, so that's good to hear. And yeah, so far you're the only one watching. Well, there's another one right now, 2 watching right now. So if you have questions, please post them right now. Otherwise, it will be very boring. But I guess some more people will show up. I've shared the link on the Facebook page, so probably some people will show that, and we'll see that. Sorry. And otherwise, we'll just talk about aviation in general, or just you are the one who keeps asking questions. That's no problem. 3 watching now. That's getting better. Thanks for joining. So let's take a look. Another question of you. How did you first get into VATSIM? FSX. Well, I've never really used FSX for VATSIM. I've only used FS2 downs to 4. Um, I got FS2 downs to 4 for my birthday. Well, it must be, well, it was a long time ago. I think 10 years ago it was when I got FS2 downs to 4. No, no, not 10 years ago. That's a bit, maybe 8 years ago, I think. And yeah, that's when I was introduced to Flight Simulator and, taking the first flying lessons with Rod Machado, those kind of things, flying with the keyboard. That was, yeah, great times. And yeah, I actually got into VATSIM because of a friend of mine who studied at KLM Flight Academy, and he showed me VATSIM and how professional Flight Simulator can be. I mean, I had no idea that Flight Simulator could be so professional, and he showed me, the ILS systems, navigations. He showed me VATSIM that you can talk to actual people, while flying, and he just showed the realistic environment. So that's basically my introduction to VATSIM. And of course, when I got home again, I I tried it out myself. I installed Squawkbox, and I was, flying around in no time. Of course, making a lot of mistakes during the first flight, but yeah, well, that happens with everyone, right? I mean, mistakes happen a lot when you are uh, flying for the first time on VATSIM. But so yeah, during the years you get more and more experience flying those professional airplanes, and how to navigate through the virtual skies, and um, yeah, how to communicate with A to C, because of course that's the most important part of VATSIM. And this realistic environment is a great thing, and especially as a young kid, you learn a lot in just a short amount of time, which is great, because um, probably if I would have started at a later age, I would have had much more trouble, not only because I'm older, but also because I wouldn't have much time anyways, because I'm at university, so I wouldn't have had time to go deeply into flying airplanes. But I started at a young age when I had nothing to do, just on primary school, secondary school, and then yeah, you've you spend a lot of time flight simming. Sometimes at young age too much, but I, I don't really fly that much anymore, actually. Only during holidays most of the time, and I mean the rest of the time is just study and spending time with family and friends, basically. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got in VATSIM, and of course, yeah, many years since I've joined VATSIM. I think 6 or 7, about that, and yeah, you just flying and also controlling. I became an air traffic controller at Amsterdam, first delivery and then ground. But since I got less time for this hobby, I decided to kind of put away the controlling side and keep flying, because flying is my favorite thing to do. So I don't really do air traffic control anymore, but most of the times I'm flying, and also during events. So that's basically how I got into VATSIM. So there's some more people watching now. I can see you. So if you have any questions, please post them below. This is your chance to have your question answered. So I'm going to do this for about an hour, so there'll be plenty of time to answer your questions. So please post them in the comment box on YouTube, or maybe even a Hangout. Maybe you can even join the Hangout. I don't know. You probably can. I have no idea how it works. I've never tried it before. So, but I've seen other people using Hangouts to broadcast live. But it seems to work pretty cool. All right. So let's get through another question. Have you ever been in a real simulator before? No, I haven't. Although I really want to do that sometime. I mean, in the Netherlands, we have quite a few of these companies which have these flight simulators, and yeah, you can, for example, take a flight for an hour for about 100 euros, 150 euros, I think. That's about the same amount you would pay for a 15-minute flying lesson. So it's quite expensive, but if I ever have a chance to do it, I would love to do it. So far, I've only really seen Boeing 737 simulators in the Netherlands. But of course, there are others at KLM, but the commercial simulators, most of them are the 737. But anyways, I would love to fly that sometime and get a bit of a better feeling of how it would be to be in such a cockpit. Of course, everything is then 3D. You can touch all the knobs and switches, and when you look around, you see all the scenery around you, and some simulators even give you the feeling, full motion simulators, which is of course a great thing. So yeah, I would love to try that sometime. Did have a flying lesson sometime. It was in 2010, and of course that's the best experience. Even though it's just a Cessna, it's a great experience where you just really get to feel what it's like to fly an airplane, and that's of course can beat any simulator actually. But if you really want to have an experience of flying an airliner, I guess you should try those simulators. Of course, you can also build your own one. It's it's quite expensive, but I think then your hobby goes pretty far. I'm not sure if your wife or girlfriend would like that. But yeah, you can invest a lot of time building a 737 simulator, for example. I mean, that would be a great thing. That would be a great thing. All right. All right, we have another questions coming in. Thank you very much, guys, for participating. Bartyfly asks, how come you only fly short hauls? Short flights. Well, I've basically answered the question already. I've just don't have a lot of time to spend on this hobby, and so basically I don't have time to cross the Atlantic every week or every month. That just doesn't work. And I like the short hauls much better because you get to fly more. You don't have all this cruising. Cruising in Flight Simulator is rather boring, I think. Although you get to go through other countries, of course. But what I basically like is, the 1 hour, 1.5 hour flights, and this way you can make a lot of takeoffs and landings, for example. Or sometimes I do a 30-minute flight and then fly back again, and then you get to do 2 takeoffs and landings. Of course, that's the best part of the flying experience in Flight Simulator. So yeah. I prefer the short hauls just because of the flying, so I don't have to cruise that long. Although, of course, things like Atlantic crossings are a bit special because there are a lot of special procedures there. I've done 2 of those, and it's quite an experience actually. The first one was from Amsterdam to Newark, and just during the afternoon, and yeah, that was the first Atlantic crossing. It's quite funny to, travel via those coordinates and, have to deal with weather and calculations. And yeah, it was quite something. Of course, it's totally ridiculous if you think about it, that you spend 8 hours sitting behind your computer to cross a virtual ocean. But still, I mean, we all have this feeling of, flying an airplane and, we all get the feeling of the procedures and all the things behind an Atlantic crossing, so that's great fun. And I also flew back from Newark to Amsterdam, and I did that during the night. I decided, it was a long time ago, but I decided to do it real time. So it was night here, it was evening in Newark, so I flew back during the night here. Basically, I took a power nap in the afternoon, and then I woke up for the flight during the night, and then in the morning I got to bed again, which was quite an experience, I can tell you. It was sorry, it was not something I would do regularly, actually, but it was great fun, and yeah, I got there safely in Amsterdam. So I've done that flight in real as well. So I kind of wanted to simulate it as much as possible. So yeah, it was quite cool to have done that. So we'll move over to the next question. How are we doing here? We've got 5 people watching. Great. Please keep your questions coming. I appreciate that. What are you studying at a university? I study liberal arts and sciences at Erasmus University College in Rotterdam, which is basically a very broad multidisciplinary study in English. So it's great fun. You get to do a lot of different subjects from social sciences, humanities, and to more of the beta side of the spectrum, the life sciences and physics, biology, those kind of things. It's a great study, and actually, the study is very, very new. I'm the second year, actually, which started just now in August. So I'm a first year myself, but it's the second year that has started. And yeah, it's a great study, but it takes a lot of time. So the time for flight simming is not very big. It's not that I can fly very regularly these days, but of course I'm staying in touch with the forums and on YouTube. I mean, I still get to get my aviation battery loaded through the other media, and so usually I make a little flight during the weekends, just flying around randomly, and then I get to fly again. So that's a great thing. So how we're doing? Still 5 people watching. I'm running out of questions, people. So please post your questions. It could be about anything. It could be about VATSIM, about flight simming, about add-ons, about the channel, about anything that has to do something with aviation, basically. So be creative and post your questions. We got another one coming up. I'll just check the Facebook page. All right. Oh, and by the way, we of course I introduced some voting options for you to vote for the next VATSIM full flight video, which I still have to make. I haven't made a flight yet, and so 2 days ago I posted a photo where you could choose for either the Boeing 767 or the Embraer 135-145 for the next flight, and it turned out to be the Boeing 767, which got the most of the votes. So I will be using that aircraft for the next full flight video, and the current vote, which is open right now during the rest of the evening until 22 Zulu, is about in which region one of the airports has to be for the next VATSIM flight video. So please visit my Facebook page, just facebook.com/fs2000 AviationPro, and there you can cast your vote and have a little bit of make the decision of which airport, or at least which region I will be flying to or from. So yeah, let's take a look. I'll try to make the camera a little bit brighter. The room is a bit dark here, but how do you do that? Cameraman? No. Control room. That doesn't work. Brighten. Maybe original would be best. I'm trying to change the video settings. I don't know. I have to get some better lighting. I agree. It's a bit of a dark room here where I live currently. So okay, let's do another question. So we got the question again from Hawks 360 Magic. Do you want to become a pilot when you're older? Yes, that's my plan. After studying, I hope to, just get my bachelor degree and maybe do a master degree afterwards. I don't know what my opinions and feelings are after getting my bachelor degree, but I hope to get a license, at least some kind of license at some point. Of course, becoming an airline pilot is the best dream and the dream I still want to fulfill. I've decided to study something else first because, of course, we all know what the economic times are right now, what the economic situation is, which is rather hard, and it's quite hard to get a job in the aviation world right now. So, yeah, it's better to do another study first, like I'm doing right now, to have a backup. And when you are not getting hired by the airlines, when you have your pilot certificate, you can still, fall back on your study and get another job to pay back your enormous loan you have to get. So yeah, well, that's my plan basically. So first finish academic studies, and then become a airline pilot, hopefully. Of course, the maximum age at which you can start flight training here at KLM Flight Academy, for example, is 28 years old. So there's still plenty of time to become an airline pilot. So yeah, I hope that it works. Let's say I'm going to be 25 when I start flight training, then yeah, then that's still okay. So, and maybe economic times are better then as well. There are more jobs because, of course, I'm not really. I would not likely want to go to Asia or one of the booming countries. If it's possible, I would rather stay and fly in Europe. I mean, that's my home base basically. And I mean, if you go and fly in Asia, I don't hear a lot of good stories about Asia. Your your paycheck is not very rich, or how you say that. You don't earn a lot of money compared to what you would earn here in Europe, and yeah, just the whole working environment is different. And of course, you live very far away from your family in Europe, so I would rather just um, you know get another job for a couple of years, and on the way just keep trying to get hired by one of the airlines in Europe, and then fly in Europe. I mean, that would be my dream, to just be able to fly in Europe. Of course, flying for KLM would be the best thing actually, but unfortunately that doesn't work for everybody. And although they do hire a lot of people these days, it looks, the signs are improving actually, and also in the United States. So yeah, we'll see how the future goes. It's still very hard to tell, but yeah. So first academic studies, and then flight training, and if somehow I can become a pilot due to medical issues or whatever, or I don't want to anymore, I mean, I might change my opinion when I finish my studies. I still want to get some kind of pilot license, private pilot license, or glider pilot. I just want to fly. I mean, it's in your blood, so you just want to fly at some point, whether it be a small airplane or a large airplane. That doesn't really matter. Although the large airplanes are nice, of course, they are. Okay. Let's take a look. I got another question here. So people, please post your questions. Now you still can. We got a little over half an hour until this live stream is over. So please ask away about aviation, flight simulation, the channel, VATSIM, anything. All right. Flixusiek. I don't know how to pronounce your YouTube channel name. Can you share your FS9 configuration file? No, I can't, because I'm on a laptop right now and my computer is at home with Flight Simulator on it, and yeah, I don't have the file with me. I guess you're wondering about how to optimize your configuration file, and of course that's a big thing. Changing that file is one of the major things you have to do in order to, get Flight Simulator running more smoothly or make it look better, because there are a lot of variables that you can change. But I can't share my own file right now. But there are a lot of good tutorials out there on Google. In the Flight Simulator world, many people have figured out what all these values mean and how you change that, and it's different for every flight simulator and system. So if I share my configuration file, it doesn't mean that it will have the same good or good effects on your Flight Simulator 2004. So it doesn't really help to share my Flight Simulator configuration file, but there are a lot of good websites and tutorials where you can change the values and um, make Flight Simulator look better, make the scenery in the distance look better, or rather have the scenery in your vicinity look better than the outside scenery, or how fast the scenery should load. It really depends on what kind of pilot you are, because if you are a VFR pilot, you want to have the scenery close around you look good, and you're going to be flying at low speeds, so you don't really have to load the scenery that fast. But if you're an iFly airliner pilot on Flight Simulator, you have to make sure the values are in such a way that it loads the scenery quickly, and when you get high it gets a little bit fake, just like the real thing, but when you get close it's gonna look more crisp. So there are a lot of values, and it requires a lot of time and testing in order to get your configuration file running well. I can tell you, it's part of the hobby, configuring everything and making sure everything runs smoothly. So yeah, you really need to handle it yourself and try out, and it's all trial and error. You're gonna have to start Flight Simulator a lot of times and change another value and see how it looks, and see what works best for you. So just gonna get a sip of water. Got more questions coming in. Just type for people to ask more questions. Didn't advertise for this live stream as much as the previous live stream, because I didn't really have time to do some marketing, and of course I was also there's a little bit of an experiment with Google Hangouts, so it's a bit tricky to have a lot of people in the live stream and things don't work. That would be a nightmare, but things do seem to work right now, so it's working pretty well. Just spam my Facebook audience one more time. All right. So let's go to another question. We're doing well, aren't we? I think we're doing well. So White Star has another question. Where do you see your channel going in the future? Wow, that's an interesting question. Well, my channel in the future, I don't really have a plan with my channel in particular. I'll just be making the VATSIM videos and tutorial videos, and of course a lot of real aviation videos. I think most of my videos are about real aviation actually, but the most popular ones are about VATSIM. So yeah, that will be going on for a while. I mean, a lot of people like those full flights. I'll be making more videos of that. I enjoy making those videos, and um, they seem to be very helpful for a lot of people because when you see someone flying on the VATSIM network and see how it exactly goes, gives you a lot of information and helps you to um, you know execute the flight yourself much better. So I will definitely be making those full flight videos and tutorial videos for a longer time. Although the rates will probably drop a little because of studying, and I'll just be more busy than I was, you know, during the previous years at high school, where you didn't have a lot to do. Well, you had a lot to do, but you know, not a lot of homework and not a lot of self-discipline was necessary yet to start working. You know what I mean? So yeah, I will probably will not release as much as videos as I have done in the past for the upcoming years. However, I'll try to make my videos better and better. The VATSIM videos, each and every time I see mistakes and learn from them and correct them in the next video, I can make them more interesting. And also real aviation videos. Those videos are quite easy to make, and of course a lot of fun to record those and edit those as well. So I'll probably kind of shift from flight simulation videos more to real aviation videos as the years progress, because I probably just won't have as much time available for flight simming. So then I will, just keep, keep on going with real aviation videos, like going to air shows and going to airports like Amsterdam and maybe other airports in the future as well. And so there are a lot of opportunities, of course. And when I ever become a pilot, I will probably post a lot of flying videos, actual flying videos. I mean, that's of course a lot of fun. I mean, there are so many good channels out there. What's the name? Live from the flight deck, probably one of my favorites. With the beautiful views from the 737 cockpit, cockpit chronicles about the MD-80, and a lot of good podcasts too. I'm a listener of the Airline Pilot Guy podcast, there's a lot of great stuff out there from real world pilots, and those real world pilots don't have time for flight simulation either, but at least you can share your life and your great job that way. So I'll probably go more that way, go more to the real world stuff instead of flight simulator in the future. And of course it really depends on how flight simulator itself is going to develop, because of course we all know that Microsoft Flight Simulator stopped its development, and we're kind of switching to the X-Plane development and Prepart 3D. So yeah, it really depends. I mean, it's a great market, and there's a lot of room for opportunity, I think. So we'll see how it goes. And I mean, it's really interesting, and those flight simulators probably will look better and better, and more add-on products, and a lot of new destinations you can fly to. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Okay, we have about 25 minutes left right now. And the vote is still running. I'm just going to take a quick look at the vote about which region at least one of the airports for the next full flight video has to be. So we got red, blue, green, yellow, yellow, cyan, green, green, yellow, blue, 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 yellow, yellow. So a lot of yellow and blue. So I'll probably combine those. You probably don't have any idea of what I'm talking about. I'll share a link. Share a link with you guys to tell you what I'm talking about here. About the vote for the next VATSIM full flight video. Yeah, it's about regions. I've got this chart map with regions with different colors, and you can cast your vote in order to decide um, from or to which region I'm going to fly to. So I'll just post it. Oh, I can't post links. Oh, put it in the description. So guys, if you want to cast your vote, maybe most of you probably already seen it, but if you want to cast your vote, there's a link in the description. Does it work? Yeah, it works. Okay, that's good. All right, we got about, oh, there are 8 people watching right now. Okay, guys, I got 25 more minutes, so there's still time left to ask your questions. So please post them in the comment box next to this video, and we'll go through another question. What do you think about Lufthansa? Ich mach das. Frage das. Right? Am I right? Lufthansa, yeah, it's a great airline. I like it. Of course, I see Lufthansa at Schiphol Airport occasionally, so yeah. It's a good airline, I think. Very professional, and yeah, there's not much to say, I think. Of course, my favorite airline will always be KLM, but yeah, I like Lufthansa too. It's nice that they still have the 737 Classics. They're still flying into Amsterdam every now and then. So yeah, and their fleets, yeah, it's quite amazing, and a good airline, and like Frankfurt Airport as well. So it's a good airline. That's what I'm gonna say. All right. Another question from Polish guy, which probably means you come from Poland. Do you have any advice for newbie pilots? Well, newbie pilots. I reckon you mean newbie pilots on the VATSIM network, or yeah, irregardless, just newbie pilots on Flight Simulator. Well, you have to do a lot of studying first before you actually going to fly. You know, learn some of the basics. If we're going to talk about VATSIM, you have to be aware that you are newbie and that a lot of information will come to you at once. And yeah, you have to be able to handle this whole situation of flying the airplane through the virtual skies and communicating with the agency. So first of all, if you are thinking about joining VATSIM and flying on VATSIM, you should first of all know the basics of flying. You know how to make an ILS approach, how to properly take off your airplane, how SIDS and stars work, how the flight management computer works, things like that. You know, just buy one of those add-on products like the Level D Boeing 767, the aircraft I started on, or the iFly 737. There are many great products out there. I agree it costs some money, but it's very much worth it, and you don't have to own a heck of a lot of airplanes. You know, if you just start with one airplane, you would feel comfortable with. If you're a Boeing man, you just buy the iFly 737, and then you know, train offline. And of course, there are a lot of good manuals to help you out flying those airplanes. A lot of good videos too. I've got some videos myself of how to program the flight management system of the 737, for example. So really get to know your aircraft first before you're going to fly on VATSIM. So yeah, learn all the systems, know how to properly take off with your airplane and land your airplane, how to taxi with your airplane, and how the flight management system works. I think that's the most important thing, because of course we don't use the default GPS system on VATSIM anymore. We use real-world procedures, and real-world aircraft use flight management systems in order to navigate through the skies. So yeah, well, you have to use that in VATSIM as well. And of course, when you join VATSIM, there's a whole other spectrum coming in. It's the A to C communication. Of course, you could communicate with default A to C in Flight Simulator, which isn't very realistic, but Right now, if you join VATSIM, you really have to talk to people, and those people are professional. They've been trained to become air traffic controllers, so it's quite scary if you gonna fly for the first time on VATSIM because you're very much afraid to make mistakes. So the best thing to do is when you're ready to join VATSIM, you know how to learn your aircraft, is to first of all go to an airport where it's not very busy, and just listen to the ATC frequency for a while to get used on, to the way they talk and uh, how the communication exactly goes. Or you could also listen to live ATC. Of course, there are a lot of airports you can listen to. Don't start off with New York JFK because it's so busy. They talk with such a high speed, you just want to be able to follow it. But just start with a local or regional airport and listen to the ATC and try to understand how they communicate. And you can use Flight Radar 24 next to it and just follow a flight and see how they communicate and how they interact with air traffic controllers. So you can really get used to the way you have to communicate in the aviation world. So yeah, when you have done that, you can basically make your first flight. I would recommend to first do the most simple flight ever, and that's just some circuits. Flying, just take off, making a left or right turn, flight downwind leg, base leg, final leg, and make a touch and go, and do that a couple of times so you can get used to talking, get used to pushing that push to talk button. Which is, yeah, it's a great feeling when you've done that. It can be scary, the first time pushing the push to talk button, but it's great. And once you have completed that, first flight, just flying the circuits, you have a good feeling and you feel confident to get to the next step of making a flight from A to B, for example. So really, first of all, know how to fly your airplane, know how to operate its systems and flight management system. Then listen to some live ATC or go online on VATSIM already to learn how they talk to each other, how the ATC communication works. And then start off with a small airplane to fly circuits at a local airport where it's not busy. Don't jump into an event straight away. Go out there on a Monday or Tuesday night when it's not very busy, and then you can get help from air traffic control if necessary. And yeah, in that way, the air traffic controller can help you if you run into trouble, and then they won't mind if you make mistakes, because everybody makes mistakes. And of course, as a new pilot, you have to get used to flying on VATSIM. So what I want to say is, so don't join an event straight away. Go to somewhere quiet, make your first circuit flight, make a couple of touch and goes, and then stop, and then review yourself. Reflect upon yourself on how you did, if you did well, and points for improvement. And then you can start making flights from A to B, and eventually also with airliners, or straight away. It really depends on how comfortable you would feel flying an airliner. You can, of course, the circuits will be VFR. You can also do IFR circuits, but VFR is the most easy way to, get used to flying on VATSIM. And then IFR, if you feel comfortable flying IFR offline, you can also, start flying IFR flights with airliners online on VATSIM. And it's truly a great feeling to do that for the first time. The first time going into another country, I believe the first country I went to was Frankfurt in Germany. So I went to Germany for the first time. My international VATSIM flight, I think. Yeah, maybe Belgium, but that was a long time ago. There was no ATC, but the first time I went to another country with ATC was Frankfurt, I think. And it's a great feeling to complete such a flight, Of course, you will make a lot of mistakes. You will be anxious sometimes. It might be a bit scary sometimes, but afterwards you have a good feeling, and you just have to make a lot of flights. If you're young and you still have time, spend a lot of time making flights, because in that way you can really get to know how to fly on VATSIM, train your skills and get better and better, and eventually, it's not new anymore. Of course, you will always encounter new situations, but in general, you'll feel comfortable. I mean, I encounter new situations too. I mean, like on my last VATSIM flight, I had a TCAS warning practically for the first time with VATSIM, with air traffic control with it. So I had to react to that, and it was something you have to get used to. Things like I've never had to go around on VATSIM, not yet. Of course, I've practiced go arounds or flying, but still, when it's offline or when it's online, it's different. I mean, then you really have to prove yourself of your skills, and make sure you execute to go around perfectly without any mistakes. So yeah, it's you encounter new situations. Other things, I've never been put in a holding pattern before, and that won't happen really on VATSIM unless it's a very popular event, like I believe what's called the flying Santa fly-in or something in Scandinavia. One of those flights or events during Christmas, then it gets very busy and it can be put in a holding pattern. And, those kind of things, you do it offline just for practicing. But once you have to do it online, it's just a little bit different, and there's a little bit of pressure behind you to do it correctly. But yeah, so these are a few tips. So start off easy, know your aircraft, make some circuit flights, and build up your way from there. And just do a lot of reading, watching videos, like my full flight videos, for example, will help a lot as well. Okay, how are we doing on the time? I've got 14 minutes left right now. So if you have any more questions, please post them. Now you still can. Let's take a look. I've run out of questions, I'm afraid. There are now 3 people watching. Oh, there are not a lot of people anymore. Well, it doesn't matter. For the next live stream, I'll try to, get get a bit more people in, right? So, all right. So another question I got a lot of times, of course, when the next VATSIM full flight video will be up. I don't know. I really don't know. Of course, I have the vote open now for you to have a little bit of, make a decision with me on which region to fly from or to, and to choose the aircraft type. And I've chosen the aircraft type, as I've said at the beginning of this video already. The 767-300 is going to be. So yeah, after you start flying the 767 again, it's been a long time. Of course, flying airplanes like that, when you've flown the 737 for a long time and you have to switch to the 767 again, it's a little bit different. In general, the systems are all the same, but you really have to get used to a little bit to where the knobs are, and some switches are just different and procedures are different. But it's a great airplane. I'm looking forward to making that flight. So I'll probably have to do some training in the 767 to get used to flying it again. And then the region, yeah, I think if you have participated in the vote already, you know what I'm talking about. But a lot of people want me to fly to or from the blue region of the map, which is Scandinavia, which is a good idea. Of course, on my last flight, I flew to Copenhagen, so maybe it's be a good idea to fly away from either Norway, Sweden, or Finland, or maybe even Iceland. Who knows? But that's a long flight again, So I'm not sure about that if I will fly from Iceland, but Norway would be nice. I've been to Norway last year during my summer holiday. It's great. It's a great country. A lot of beautiful scenery, of course, and nice airports. Norwegian is also a very nice airline, although they don't operate any 767s, so I'll probably use some kind of charter airline or holiday airline like TUI, the TUI group. So um, there is another question coming in again from Polish guy. What add-ons do you recommend? Well, there are a lot of good add-ons out there on the flight simulator market. Unfortunately, the Flight Simulator 2004 market is kind of dying right now. Still things are being published. It's luckily there are, but you notice that it's getting less, and more companies are focusing on FSX and Prepar 3D. But for FS 2004, without doubt, I would recommend the iFly 737. It's a great add-on. Very good looking for Flight Simulator 2004 standards, and just a very realistic airplane and realistic systems. And of course, the BMDG 737 NGX is also a great add-on. I heard a lot of good stories about it, and very high realism, and officially licensed by Boeing as well. So if you're using FSX, you probably should go for that one. But in my case, I've chosen the iFly 737, and it's a great airplane. And by using FS 2004, I can still get a lot of frame rates. So that's really a benefit. I can still fly at 60 frames per second, while with FSX it's just lower. So yeah, aircraft-wise, I would definitely recommend the PMDG products, or the iFly 737, or Level D Boeing 767 is a really good one too. Another airplane I have is the Wilco Embraer 135-145 series, the Embraer Regional Jet series. And in terms of general aviation airplanes, Coronado, of course, I mean, that's one of the best companies out there, which produce great VFR airplanes. Yeah, very small, Cessnas, King Airs, Bonanza, Beechcraft Bonanza, and those kind of airplanes. And that's really cool to fly VFR with those airplanes. Very realistic. So that's in terms of airplanes. In terms of scenery, well, in general, all Aerosoft sceneries are very good. Flight Tampa is also a very good developer, of course. We know from the Sint Maarten scenery, and what else do you have? Athens and Dubai, great sceneries, very realistic. Another favorite of mine is the Taxi to Gate sceneries. I have Bratislava and Košice in Slovakia from that developer, and also very realistic. They kind of produce airports nobody flies to. Or yeah, well, not a lot of, they don't produce a lot of popular airports. Well, they did produce Istanbul a long time ago, but yeah, those sceneries look very realistic too. And of course, for FSX, it would without doubt be the Orbex products. Those are very realistic too. I've seen videos of those, and unfortunately, they don't develop any sceneries for FS 2004, but Orbix for FSX is of course a great scenery, and it looks really realistic for FSX. So yeah, that's yeah, the scenery I would recommend. And of course, another big add-on I'm using is Real Environment Extreme. For FS 2004, and of course Real Environment Extreme, you probably know that it creates a whole new environment to Flight Simulator. It replaces the whole, the textures and of the clouds, and the colors of the sky. It looks so realistic, and it's definitely a huge improvement for FS 2004. I can definitely recommend it to anyone. You have great sunrise, you have great looking afternoons, you have great looking sunsets, you have great looking clouds, even in HD if you want to, and without a big frame rate hit either. So that's definitely an add-on I would recommend to anyone if you either use Flight Simulator 2004 or FSX, because it just gives such a huge improvement to the way your flight simulator looks, and of course that's just amazing, and I love that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Real Environment Extreme as well. Another question coming in, and again from Polish guy. How many people are watching? 5. All right. Not as much as a last Q&A session, but I'm sure we'll do better next time with a little bit more marketing and things like that. So he asks, are you planning to buy FS2 crew for iFly 737NG? No, I'm not. I don't think I will. Personally, I just don't really like that product or things like FS Passengers. I just like the way it is. I'd rather have a friend coming over to fly with me in the airplane than a fake pilot next to you. Of course, it adds a little bit of realism because you can kind of simulate the way the workload is spread. Like the captain is flying the airplane during takeoff, during departure, and the first officer is doing the call-outs and raising the gear, doing the flaps, things like that. But yeah, it's not really my favorite product. I don't think I will buy FS2 Crew. I just do everything myself, raising the gear and raising the flaps, which is busy sometimes. I can agree. I mean, if you're flying off VATSIM, it can get very busy sometimes. Sometimes I have to turn on the autopilot, otherwise it will just totally go wrong. I try to fly manually as much as possible in VATSIM, but it doesn't always work. If you are in very busy airspace and you can expect a lot of instructions, it's just not very easy to keep hand flying the airplane. But mostly the landing, all my landings are mostly, all my landings are manual. Only when it's really foggy, I turn on or leave on the autopilot during the landing. But of course, flying and landing the airplane yourself is much more fun than constantly using the autopilot, and is of course better because we all know about the over-reliance on automation these days. That's a big thing. The children of the magenta video of this captain from American Airlines is a big thing in aviation, and yeah. So of course, it doesn't really apply to Flight Simulator because we don't really learn how to hand fly an airplane. But still, it's more fun to hand fly an airplane, in my opinion. So, whenever I have a chance to turn off the autopilot at an appropriate time, I will do that. So, during departure, I try to leave it off until 10,000 feet mostly. I mean, that's about the point where you stop. Making turns, making, a lot of, giving a lot of inputs in the flight controls. And during the arrival, I usually either turn off the autopilot before capturing the localizer, or sometimes, of course, when you can't see the runway yet, you have to leave it on until you can see the runway. So when you are on the ILS already. So, yeah. Those are the moments I leave my autopilot on or off, and I try to limit the use of the autopilot as much as possible in order to fly more. So yeah, where I was coming from? Oh, from the FS2 crew. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not gonna buy that product. I'll just do everything myself in order to, be busy, I guess. So yeah, personally, I don't really think it is a requirement to have the product, and yeah, it's great, but it's not my favorite. So I'll end with that. All right. So we're right on time actually. It's now 8 o'clock, and there are no more questions coming in. So I think I'm gonna call it quits for now. And so thank you guys for participating in this live stream. Of course, not a lot of people showed up compared to the previous Q&A session, but that's all right. I kind of expected that, but this is the first time I'm using Google Hangouts. I think you can also join the Google Hangout actually, with your video, so you can talk to each other. That would be fun for next time. Okay. So I'd like to thank you for watching this live stream, and yeah, I'm not sure when I will release another video on the channel. I'm going to be rather busy next week, so I would like to ask you to stay tuned via Facebook. My Facebook page is facebook.com/fs2004 AviationPro, and in that way I will keep you up to date with the channel and probably ask more questions regarding the next VATSIM full flight video, so you can have a vote in the next video. So I'll have to think of what kind of questions I'm still going to ask. But anyways, thanks for watching this live stream here on the AviationPro channel, and yeah, see you next time. There we go. We're going to stop the broadcast.